Oh, I know Cassisi's. There he is.
Ah, you made it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Wham. We have a fun show lined up. It's a continuation of another podcast we were doing, but I just ran out of time. So my name's
do that again with as much as you've got.
I know it might be a part 3 and a part 4.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Barb Kilbert. I have been an inker since 1988, late 88. Oh, excuse me. Now I start yawning. That's so rude, Barb.
Well, that's not a way to start a show.
I know. And I have been doing coloring and writing for the last 7 years. And I'm also the chief bean counter for Silverline Comics. I was at the inception of Silverline 3.0 in on the ground floor, and I've been here ever since. And directly this way. See, I did that right. Did you notice?
Hello, everybody. Once again, I am Cassisi Harris. You can call me Kaz. I write things, so I'm a writer here at Silverline. Haven't written a lot yet, but I'm on my way. So penned a story of Trump's in the Christmas issue, and I think 2024. And then there's some more Christmas stories hopefully coming up this year from me. And then Silverline Team of Volume 2, which is hopefully coming out soon. I just saw the cover, at least the startings of the cover, so it looks kind of awesome. Can't wait for that to get out in everybody's hands. And that's me. I have not been doing it for 30-something years. I have not, but hopefully one day I can make.
Well, you got to get some of these first, man.
I got a lot. They're growing. I'm getting the Magneto
okay.
tip too.
Keep working on it.
I'm getting the spot.
Yeah, mine are.
All right, Rob. Tell us about you.
Well, I'm a drawer of things, so I've been an artist in the comics world about as long as Barb has. I think I started in 88 or 89, somewhere in there. I actually drew some for role-playing games before that. 1986 is when I started doing that. But I've been a professional artist since 1986. And lately, I'm also the art director and chief cook and bottle washer of Airship 27, a new pulp publisher along with my pal Ron Fortier. And we've been doing that since I think 2004. So we've been at that for a while too. But and now I've done some work for Silverline. Did a 4-issue miniseries called Twilight Grim with another old pal, R.A. Jones, and do some covers here and there for Silverline and self-publish some of my own books. And I'm working on one kind of as we speak, and I will talk more about that as it progresses. But that's where I is right now.
Awesome.
And down here.
Oh, you got it, Barb. You got it. You got it.
Hey, everybody. John Medic. My camera still sucks, as my subheading says. Nice to meet you all, and welcome back if I already met you. Creator, writer, publisher, back in the day, pre-press guy for Sniper and Rook, upcoming Ripper. Actually talked to one of my longtime friends who pitched a Sniper and Rook story, and so he may be drawing an additional 10-issue miniseries. So cool. Lots of things in the hopper right now. Yeah, really cool, actually. So I'm kind of stoked on that one. More on that one as that comes live. And I'm just here to kind of listen to what's going on with the art stuff today, since I'm on the writing side. You know, y'all will have more with the art stuff, but I can talk about some things from the pre-press side and from the lettering side, and some of the frustrations I've run into when I've gotten art from artists that it's really kind of hard to work with lettering. So it'll be fun.
I've seen the list of what Barb has, and some of what she talks about, we're going to talk about tonight, is also writers should know this stuff as well.
Because they're giving directions.
They're
giving directions to the artists.
Right. So you need to know, as a writer of comics, you need to know what kind of things they need. Done. Right. Well,
I've heard the horror stories when people say, give an artist like, okay, in panel 1, and it's like these 3 things happen. It's like, no, you can't have them do 3 things in one. There's some nightmare on that too. I think I have the.
You can, depending on what they are, but they'll
unless
choose
you're
one.
Spider-Man flipping around in in that
Yeah.
sequence thing, you're not gonna have one person like open up a door, walk in, order a cup of coffee, and sit down at a table.
Yeah, in one panel.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
this will be fun. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
before we get to tonight's topic, we want to talk about our current Kickstarter. We are kickstarting our Silverline trades. We have been in business now for about 7 years, I think.
It's 7 or 8, yeah.
7 or 8 years. And we have gone through a lot of issues of various books, and it's time now to start collecting them in trades. And if you are interested in not buying single issues, but collecting the entire arc of a series, and we usually try to do our books in 4-issue arcs. They'll either finish up in 4 issues, or you'll have a sub arc in an overlying story, which is the way that Divinity is. It's got an overarching theme, but subplot wraps up in 4 issues, and then they can be collected in trades. And right now we are offering
Well over
our
our
trades. Yep, we're offering Cat and Mouse,
Mm-hmm.
Divinity,
Mm-hmm.
Prior Rush, Teen Beatles, Trumps, and as Rob mentioned, Twilight Grim.
Mm-hmm. Brand new cover.
Yep. We put brand new covers on all of these, and I will show you the just released trade cover for Divinity
Beauty.
here in a second.
Yeah,
It's
it looks
beauty.
really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's knockout. And I didn't touch it. I was in Europe at the time this was being done, so I just gave my blessing. I'm going to post.
I love that cat and mouse cover.
I'm going to post.
Yes.
the
Yeah,
copy.
that's a great cover too.
I'm going to post this to our link here. Post comment. Paste. There we go. It's a long one. There we go. I just posted the link to the Kickstarter in the comments. So please, not right this minute because you want to listen to our wonderful voices.
Well, unless
But
you open up another window, you can open
Yeah,
up
unless
another
you
window
open up
and do
another
that if you
window.
want to.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. We believe in you.
Here is, there it is. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Wow.
Cover.
Is that gorgeous or what?
Yeah.
This is
That is just, and since I can zoom in, I'm going to zoom in, and oh man, the details are incredible.
I know.
They
This
really
is a
are.
Kevin West cover. He did the pencils and inks, and it was colored by the inimitable Roberta Conroy.
She
And-
made it really pop.
Yes,
She did make it pop.
It was so beautiful, and Kevin finished it just before I took off for Europe for 2 weeks, and Roland says, "Can you turn this around as quickly as possible?" Like, nope. I said, "But can you get Roberta to do it? Because she'd do a better job of it than I could coloring." She's been doing this for 20 or 30 years as well, and I've only been coloring for 7. So I'm like, yeah, you got to do this, Roberta, because this is just knockout. This is everything I could have ever hoped for in a cover and more.
that's beautiful.
It is spectacular. So, people, there you go. Kickstarter. It is in the comments. Please go and take a look. Every single one of those trades are fantastic. I guarantee it. They are something to see.
And just in case you're listening and you can't see the link, all you got to do is go to Kickstarter and search Silverline, and you'll see trades. You'll see our campaign for trades. Back us.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
I would read it, but it's really long. Because I can kind of zoom in and read it better, but it's long.
So a few podcasts back, we had a project or a podcast called The 180 Rule. What is it? And other unwritten rules of comics. And we discussed some of the rules that most comic book artists and writers follow, not all. And there is always an exception to every rule.
Sure.
But the ones that we covered the last time was word balloons and how to place them. Word balloons are king. Respect the Z, which is the Z, how the layout is done.
Yep. Do Zorro. Do Zorro on your pages.
Every scene needs an establishing shot. And color controls the mood. And believe it or not, that was all we made out of all of these things. We only made it through 4 subjects last time.
There's a lot to say about each of those, though. So
yeah,
and there are
exceptions. We covered the 180 rule too, where you got to keep the perspective of, if you're going to turn the scene, you got to keep the people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got to stay on the. There's a plane of the camera, and you've got to stay on the same side of that plane. So this is the plane, and you're shooting from this way. Everything you do has to be from this side of that plane. So.
Yep. If you're going to rotate the camera, you got to rotate the characters.
And now you can do what films do. You can also start kind of circling them if you want to change that 180 rule. There's some exceptions to the 180, and I know a couple of artists that go 180 rule. I don't care. I don't even follow that. So, and these are big professionals that do that. So, but if you're learning the trade, learn the rules before you start breaking them. So, but
that's right.
That's an important one.
And so we only covered like 5 items out of maybe 17, 18 items last time. So I'm going to get at least a couple more podcasts out of it. That isn't even touching Larry Hama's 10 rules of drawing comics.
Yeah, that'll be
a whole other podcast by itself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So we're going to start out tonight. There's Pops. Hi, Pops. Good to see you.
Pops goes the madness.
We are going to start out tonight by touching on one unwritten rule, which most people don't bother with. Pop says, "Good evening." Good evening to you.
All right, sorry, Barb.
You run the comments. How about that?
Okay.
Now, let's say professionals follow this one.
Not most of them.
Well, really? You say that? Okay.
What is it? What is it?
Finish the comic.
Oh, yeah.
Finish the comic.
Finish the comic. If most artists don't follow this commandment, and if you are going to start it, finish it. But, some of them, they don't have a choice because, and I've been on the receiving end of this several times, is the publisher. The word comes down from the publishers, you're canceled, but we're not done telling the story yet. Too bad. It's not making money. It's
that's why self-publishing is so much better in that respect, because if you can afford it, finish it up.
Yeah.
Or find a way to finish it up. So my self-published stuff, it's all out of my pocket. I'm the artist. I'm the penciler, inker, colorer if I do any of that, letterer. So, I don't have a lot of expenses going out like some comics do, but yeah.
And maybe
finish it. Finish it.
Maybe you'll have a story that can be told in one issue, maybe 3 issues, 4 issues. But I find it incredibly irritating when I read one issue, which I'm talking about a specific comic book right now. An indie, and it was so damn good, and it hooked me on the first issue, and that's
vanished. It went to vaporware.
Never saw a second issue come out. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, that's a writer thing too, though. I think just the artist, that's one thing, but as a writer, finish it. It's so hard. It's easy to jump into an idea, and it's hard to finish it and not be a super perfectionist or get paralysis by paralysis by analysis, where you're like, I don't believe what I'm. Just finish it.
Well, it's you have to realize when it's good enough. It's never perfect. Yeah, it's never going to be perfect. So you have to go, okay, it's now at this point, that's going to have to be good enough.
You know,
And
and the sad thing is, though, when some of the kings in the industry don't even follow that one, because where's my friggin' end of All-Star Batman, Jim Lee? Where's my friggin' book?
And I don't even care if it's an ongoing book as long as it wraps up the current storyline and, you know, it still leaves it open-ended, but that storyline is finished. That's all I'm asking for. You know?
Yeah.
The one of them that came out recently in kind of trade format, I've not read it, but I've read of it. I guess John Byrne was kind of telling his own X-Men story, like an Elsewhen, and it was supposed to be, you know, like it's going to be 3 volumes, but then he got bored and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to finish it. I'm just going to put some pages in at the end of volume 3 and let you know what was going to happen.
What was going to happen.
Okay.
Right?
So at least you've got that. That's less bad. But yeah, and that was kind of like a wah, wah. It's like,
well,
pretty pictures.
The thing about that particular book, though, is that was a personal project of his own. He was likely going to do that whether it got published or not.
Right, but the moment it became published, the story, the whole thing changes.
Then it's actually something you're handing to the fans. So, are you only going to hand them the cake and no icing? You know, the very last thing you do to the cake is put the icing on, and then slice it.
In black and white.
You know, if you don't put the icing on it, you know, it's not really the full cake, is it? So
I would say if it's your first book too. So for those people who are jumping in new like me, just finish a book. Right, like it's not going to be great. Know that it is going to be crappy. In fact, set your mind, do your best at it. Right, feel good about it. Just don't expect it to change the world when you release the first one. But get those
perfect is the enemy of being done. Perfect is the enemy of being done.
Get repetition and build on that of having finished something. Right, like because then you know you can do it. Right.
Not only do you know that you can do it, but you feel compelled to go on to the next one because now you can't leave your fans hanging.
Yes.
You know, you can't leave the story hanging and you've already put it out there, you know, and you're going to feel guilty if you don't add to it. And so, I don't know. I mean, I know in my heart that Divinity is not going to have wrap up in a nice bow, but I know where the story goes for 12 issues at least, you know, and I suppose at the end I would hope anyway. I don't want to wrap it up. I don't want to wrap it up in a nice neat bow because I want to leave it open-ended in case somebody else wants to pick up the ball and run with it, right? But I want to wrap up each subplot so that you're ready for the next adventure, you know.
You want to leave them with the sense of closure, so they don't feel like you pulled the rug out without the final act. But that door, for a sequel.
So, finish the damn book. Darn, we're supposed to keep it. Next one, and this goes for writers too. Clarity over cool. All right. Do not sacrifice clear storytelling for cool designs or layouts.
That one bothers you, doesn't it, Kaz?
Because the rule of cool is a thing. Like, you know, think about some of the things that we've seen in the 90s, right? Made no sense. Made no sense. But it was cool,
right?
But it was really cool.
And some of them sold fairly well. Yeah.
But so, I mean, you gotta be like peak cool to sell without clarity, though. So that's not an aspiration that you should have. You should.
But then you're buying the comic book strictly for the art.
Yeah.
Well, see, but some of those some books, that's what it is. I mean, how many times have we agreed that because comics is a visual medium, that sometimes the art is more important than the writing, and we've agreed on that in the past, all of us. Yeah. So, you know, I think Picasso's work is shit, and I would never want a Picasso in my house. I would rather have a mural of Liefeld, okay? Because Picasso is horrific because it's not pretty, you know. But
well, here's the thing. Let me clarify something for you about Picasso. Some of his early work is just like the old masters. He uses the exact same techniques,
changed?
and
Acid?
he was intellectualizing
Brainworm.
what his art would be, and he took it to that. It took it to an intellectual step. It's no longer representational. It's no longer perfectly representational anymore. He's working on trying to show the people who are looking at his work something more than just representational art. But he could do it. He could do it. He had all the skills necessary to do it. There are examples of his early work that are beautiful master level style. But he chose to go down this road.
The argument, though, sometimes the style is more than substance. You know, depending on the book, depending on the story. You know,
True.
If you want something that's coherent storytelling, if storytelling is the primary focus of the book in the vehicle, then absolutely you want sequential quality storytelling.
But
however, some of them are more art show pieces than.
But can that carry a book issue after issue if there's crappy storytelling?
That and my point. There was a point I was trying to make with that Picasso, is that, and he said this himself. He says you can't break the rules until you know what they are.
Right.
Until you master those rules, then you can start going, okay, well, how can what I want to do, how can I break those rules and make it work? And that's kind of what he did. Now, some of his work is very ugly, and some of the people that came along after him did that too. But they're making a certain type of statement. But that's a different kind of art than we're in a medium where we're telling stories. So in order to tell a story well, you need to do it clearly. Or if you're making things obscure, eventually you need to tell everyone why you were obscuring it. You should let them know what it is. Or there are certain items you're going to keep obscured forever. But making something so dense that you can't read it, you can't tell what's going on, that's an art piece you can put on the wall, but it's not a story. It's not a comic book. A comic book has a story.
I mean, not everything has to be clean and with a bow, and we need more David Lynch comic books out. You know, David Lynch crazy ass style comic books out there sometimes. You know, and this is kind of weird, me like defending diversity and all, but it's like there should be a niche for all of it. You know, you want something that's, you know, your 9-panel, your 5-panel linear storytelling, awesome. You know, but if you want something that's kind of just more like a art book with some words in there with a rudimentary story, rock on with that too. You know, I think the style should fit the story and do the story justice.
Story.
Whatever
the
story may be. And the story may be rudimentary.
I read manga webtoons, and there are a couple of them that things are happening, but I can't figure out what in the artwork, because I mean they're throwing so many, like, you know, lines out there and big colors. They're throwing so many colors in there, and I get, what in the hell is
it obscures what's going on.
It's completely obscured because I can't figure out what is happening with the character, because there's just too many, you know, explosions or lines or whatever.
Is it Japanese manga or is it American manga that you're reading? Both. Okay. Which one is obscure? Because it might actually have to do with culture.
It's probably a Korean one.
Yeah, well, and they probably have something culturally that whatever they're doing for you in that comic,
and the color
speaks to that culture.
Yeah, the colors just thrown in so many glowy colors and swirlies and stuff like that I'm like, I cannot tell what action is going on in this scene because it's completely obscured by all the pretty colors.
And I find that Sorry. Go ahead.
You know, you said that you kind of do, you know, you read the webtoons. Do you keep going back to it?
Well, yeah, because eventually that particular panel or two is done, and I can kind of figure out what happened by reading what comes next. But it's kind of annoying, you know, because it obscures.
Well, it pulls you out of the story, right?
Yeah, because I'm looking at it from different angles.
You're reading along, and you're immersed in the story, and then suddenly you're lost. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I think there's a difference between too much and cool, though. Like, cool is something that you are, you know, innately just attracted to. You like the thing. So I think that sometimes that can, now the longevity of cool, we could argue, but that will draw you far more than you trying to understand the story. It will. I mean, think about what catches your eye in the comic book store of comics you've never seen before. It is not, you know, sometimes it is the title, because I will say Gutter Magic. I didn't have to see any kind of
Gutter Magic?
That,
I've not heard of that one yet.
draws me.
That
I
is an
wanna know
interesting
what that-
title.
Yeah, but still, like a picture, if it's cool, it's like, man, I need to understand, right? Like it draws you in, just it pulls you. It's magnetic almost, like that. That is magnetic. I need to. If I didn't know anything about Divinity, I need to understand what this is. Like this.
What are the glowing powers? Why does she look upset?
And
Those
her
are
eyes,
the two questions right there.
right?
I want to know.
You just want to know. It draws you in, and I don't have to know anything about it, right? And if you and here's the kicker: if you gave me several pages where you played on this very well, I may not even fully understand the story. I just may want to see her. I mean, you just want to see it. I mean, there, you know,
Yeah,
I don't know. So I think cool sometimes,
But you can't hold it to that level constantly without
not
having
every page.
something
Not
that,
every page needs to be cool.
Yeah,
You know, throwing in some cool panels
I
or a
agree.
cool page, that's okay.
I don't
That's
think
okay.
that.
As long as
Yeah, I don't think it
as
can
long as
survive.
it doesn't obscure or completely pull you out of the story, you know, having a cool panel is okay. I mean,
oh yeah,
I know
I
some
love
artists
panels, but
that they build the whole page around. Okay, I'm going to do this one panel, and it's going to be the cool panel, and the rest of the page I'm going to build around that. And that's one way to do it. What's my cool panel going to be? What's the honey pot? You know, what's going to be the draw
money shot.
of people? Money shot. Thank
Honey
you.
pot, money shot.
Honey pot.
Wow, Roland told us to keep this PG-13, kids.
That's pretty funny.
I just
Like,
don't think.
I think about a John Wick, right? Like if you, I mean, one, okay, you kind of build the story, but 2 and 3 was just action.
It was over the
right?
top.
Like the
It was
whole
over the top.
the whole thing.
So
And you know, it drew in a big
professional wrestling,
Yeah, and
wrestling on the screen.
eventually you become numb to it. It's like, okay,
No, not if you're a
blood,
fight
more
scene
blood.
kind of story. You love it. You love it,
Okay.
Barb. You
I
don't go
wanted
numb.
I wanted some kind of story though, instead of just like constant chase through the movie with
We're
blood.
the old
kill,
buddy
kill,
duddies
blood,
here. We
blood,
have to
kill,
have a
kill.
story.
People needed to die. Just 2 seconds.
I'm just so right on that. I left the theaters going, I want to do that now.
People needed to die, and that was it. And that's what he was accomplishing the whole time.
Oh yeah, very well.
Never mess
too.
with the dog. Never mess with the guy's dog.
Right.
You don't see people killing people over
I haven't
cats.
seen any.
Just
I haven't
saying.
seen any of them, and nothing
Sorry,
nothing that you're saying makes me more interested in it than I was before.
Oh
Sorry.
no.
No,
The first
it's
one
not
was
my-
really good. I really enjoyed the first one.
first
The
one?
first
I'm-
one.
Okay.
The first, because
I
the
meant to
world
see if I
building,
can find it streaming.
the world building
somewhere.
in the first one, I think is really good. The
Yeah,
world
I
within
did
the
too.
world. Yeah. That's the only thing. Yeah.
But then we just got into the whole image
Well, then
type
people
of thing
needed
where
to
it's
die. People needed to die for 3 more
Okay.
movies. And
Yeah,
that's
for 3 more movies,
And
constantly.
Ballerina. We got the Ballerina spinoff,
true. That's true.
which was awesome.
Okay.
And I'm still waiting to see John Wick meet Atomic Blonde.
Oh.
Because that would just be amazing. You know, of course, that was based on a comic book. So
It's, I think that's just the filmmakers going, give me more money.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Give me more money. You want this?
Show me an
I'm going to
industry
give
that
it to
doesn't
you,
work
but you
that way.
give me money.
All righty. Here's another one. Use whatever tool works.
yes.
I think we
like
can
Absolutely.
John Wick and a pencil.
Exactly. A pencil. A pencil.
whatever. Yeah, use whatever tool works to get the job done, whether that be typewriter or for the writers, for the typewriter or a word processor or a penciler or pen or pencils. Whatever gets it down on the page. And for artists, whether it's traditional or digital. Now, I've done both. I had to switch to digital about 7 years ago because of I'm an old lady. And my hands are a little wobbly and my eyes are going. Switching to digital saved my career. But before that, Jose, hi, Jose. I tell everyone that asks me what type of pencils I use. The lead type. I did traditional inks for 30 years before I switched to digital. So I have a perspective on both. And I was always, hi, hello. And I was always an old school inker using 90% of the time I used only a brush. But I would switch to a CRoM quill once in a while if I wanted a special effect like rocks, trees. I needed that gritty look. Whereas, most of my contemporaries, when I was coming up through the 90s, they never touched a brush.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was all pen, all CRoM quill.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep.
And now, if it's traditional art, most of them either use a pen or a marker brush.
Yeah, I have some of those. I have, like that.
Yeah. Which just drives me insane because they are not.
They're not quite the same as a brush, as a real brush. No, they're not quite as
archival.
flexible.
They're not archival.
Oh yeah, it drives you. I know that drives you nuts because I use magic marker, not magic markers. Yeah, these. I use these for Sharpies. Drives her nuts because they call them permanent markers.
They are not.
They are
not. And they bleed through and they ruin art underneath it.
These are I'm doing my artwork for publication. Once I'm done with them, and once I've done it, then it's it's ready to go. Now, the thing is, I've got some old artwork that I've had in boxes for decades, and it's still pristine. It's putting it out in the light.
Yeah.
Is what does that. It's the UV rays that will kill your artwork.
But it also could bleed through to the pages behind it. I've had that happen.
Well, only not mine doesn't do that.
Yeah, and that hurts the art collectors.
Here's a page that I did some inking with it on. You can see some of it came through. Right through here.
Yep.
Some of that came through. And it's the big black area that I put on the front of it.
Lay it on top for a year, or lay something else. Lay it between a couple other ones for like a year or two and see what happens.
No, I don't do that.
Hey, Barb, could I ask you a question? And I'm not going to make friends with this, but I'm used to that. Can you repeat the rule again? This one, the rule that you just read.
Use whatever tool works.
Yep.
AI.
Well.
And
no, I have to be perfectly honest. I have on a couple of prints that I did an AI background, but I would never do that with a character.
It's not a never use. It's not a never use. I've used it to if I'm working on a cover and it doesn't quite come far enough out to do the bleed. If I'm working on somebody else's artwork and it doesn't quite come to the edges to do the bleed, then I will take AI and I will recreate that, or I'll take Photoshop and clone stuff to fill it in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
If somebody wants to start like self-publishing or put their first book out, like if somebody wants to create a book and see it to the end, like we were saying, that first rule, finish your book, right? Say that somebody can't pay a starting page rate, or they're trying to do a book just to see if they can for the first time. Most people will completely crucify them for AI if they use AI instead of an artist.
Well,
and
here's the
tools,
thing. Here's the thing I say about that is, don't lie to me and tell me that a human being did it.
Yep.
Don't lie to me.
That part into it.
If you're gonna, go ahead and use it, but don't tell me a human did it.
Oh,
because
we're not.
9 times out of 10, I can tell. But there are a few times where it's really good, and I can't tell. But most of the times, I can tell.
Here's an anecdote, and Kaz will find this funny. But I just finished. I just got the pencils back for issue number 8 of Divinity, which I just finished writing about a month or so ago, and Kaz edited it. Well, just because I was curious, before I wrote the script for Divinity number 8, I took all the other scripts from the previous Divinities.
I know where you're going.
Put it into Chat GPT.
Got you there.
And I wanted to see what would happen. And then I wrote the concept for issue number 8, and then I said, "Okay, go for it." And it came out with like, well, you're not getting what I'm trying to say. It was mediocre at best, and it didn't go in the direction I wanted it to. And it didn't understand the characters the way it should. It did an okay job, I suppose, of finishing off issue.
Well, it's not a human being. It's not going to feel the emotions. It's not going to know the emotional context.
But I was curious. I was curious to see what it would do.
At least not yet.
I didn't have high hopes. I did not have high hopes, and it turned out a little bit better than my expectations, but far from what I wanted.
Yeah, and if you want to put out a mediocre book, and some people do, then that may be the way to go about it. It's nothing I would ever buy.
I think the issue is you cannot, if you choose to do that, you should use every tool available, right?
Sure.
If you choose to do that, you need to accept what, you cannot be squeamish about the response that you're going to get from the tool. Now, you may perfect the tool after many uses in such a way that, man, that is its own thing and is beautiful in its own way, right? That's kind of what usually happens, right? You do this weird tool thing.
It's just another tool.
Everybody thinks you're a maverick or a rebel or something silly, and then all of a sudden you're like this, elite artist, and you're the expert of that thing. Now, I don't know if AI will ever be that, but you just have to accept it's
hard to tell where it's going to go.
I can tell you that AI does better art than I can. Period. End of story.
And the more context that you give it, see, that's the thing. AI is a context monster. So the more context you give it, the better the thing. That's why you can get some stuff that's like, wow, like that's pretty.
But just also the biggest problem that artists like myself and others have with it is that it steals from other artists.
Yeah, it does.
In order to build what it does.
Every art I have a that has art from the old masters that people try to copy, it's the same thing.
Not exactly. But I will accumulate influences from them, but it's still my mind synthesizing it and creating it physically. Whereas
AI as a tool to help you.
Yeah. I have used it to compose. Yeah. Occasionally compose, but I actually draw it. It's not. I don't let AI do the finished work. I will let it help me compose something. 9 times out of 10, I don't use what I ask it to give me because it's gunk. But
we'll give it to the humans. Yeah. And it says use whatever tool works. It doesn't say let the tool do the work, all the work. It just says a tool is to help you do the work. So if AI is a tool that helps you bring your, helps you be more creative.
And somebody who's first trying to break into the industry and they're a writer and they don't know an artist or they don't have an artist they can work with, that may be one way to kind of get your feet wet in the industry is to try and build some stuff with AI. But just, again, don't lie to me and tell me that a human being did it. Just tell me
I didn't bring the lie part into that. I was just talking about the tool itself. That's a whole different tangent you're going down.
I want to make it perfectly clear that you should not lie about it.
Mhm.
So, you know, and also realize that it is thievery.
Just like every person who
without
hawks prints
attribution
in Artist Alley for
or
books
payment.
and characters they never worked on.
Here's the next. Oh, go ahead, Kaz. You said
No. I pushed the wrong button. I'm sorry.
Where's your kitty cats tonight?
That never happens.
She's around here somewhere.
She'll make an appearance before we're done.
All right. Now here's
Okay,
one that I don't completely agree with because I don't have an
Okay.
ending in mind. It says know the ending before you start.
Oh yeah. I think you should have a good understanding of the purpose. I mean, you may not understand the ending, but the more you don't understand the ending, I think you have to really understand your characters. And I think that's hard. Like, so one or the other, it's kind of hard, right? You either have to know exactly where you want to go and you'll figure out how to get there, or you have to know the person enough to know when they're arriving and what they will do to arrive someplace. I don't know. I agree with you. I don't. You may evolve a story so much that it didn't matter that you figured, you know, that's where.
So say Marvel hires you to write Spider-Man. You can't wrap Spider-Man up.
You can wrap the story up, though.
You can wrap up a storyline.
Yeah.
But you can't write the ending of Spider-Man because they wouldn't want that.
Well, you can. You could do it as an You could do it as an Elsewind story, but yeah. But no, they don't want you to kill off the character.
Well, yeah, the ending. I think we have to define what the ending is. Is it the end of the story arc, the end of a specific plot point, the end of a series? If it's a mini series that you know that it's going to run 4 or 6 issues. I can tell you, like when I did the initial Sniper and Rook 1 through 5, I knew where I wanted to start. I had a vague idea where I wanted it at the end. I let the characters, and I really love what Kaz said tonight. You know, Kaz was dead on. You know, I knew the characters, and I let them kind of take me on that ride. And they kind of wrote themselves through issues 2, 3, and 4. And then when I got to 5, I love how it wrapped up. But from the journey that we went through together in 2 and 3 and 4, we were able to pull things into 5 that I never even conceptualized in the beginning. So it had a framework and a thought, but I allowed it to be organic at the same time.
That's a good way to word.
And now for me in Divinity, for the first 12 issues, I'm throwing her out there and saying this is a character, and we're saying what can she do and what can't she do. And for the first 12 issues, we are exploring that. And what are the limitations? What are the downfalls? Stuff like that. And when we get to the end of 12, we will have a pretty good idea of who this character is. And then I don't have anything concrete beyond 12 written because we've taken 12 issues to establish a really solid.
It's the journey as a writer you started on.
Yeah, by the end of 12, we have a really solid idea of who these characters are.
But I mean, to John's point, that's your end, though. That's what you've established that as the end point. The end point is I want everyone to know. It's not necessarily a story happy ending. I just want everybody to know what this character can and cannot do.
That's your outcome. That's your course outcome. Yeah,
that's the deliverable, right? And so you take us on the journey, and maybe you're figuring out that journey as you go. But you know,
I wanted to ask: have you added anything to her power sets, or changed, or tweaked along the way?
I don't know, Kaz. Have we?
Spoilers.
No, honestly, nobody put me up for this one. No, it was a serious question. You know, kind of based how I had said, like, you know, Sniper and Rook kind of took me on that journey, you know. So like Barb says, by the end of issue 12, we want to have a pretty good idea of who she is. So that leaves some ambiguity for, you know, future changes, augmentations, additions, subtractions, which is awesome. But no, and like as a writer, Barb, I was curious about like if you've encountered yourself, like you planned on doing A, B, and C, but now you're finding, you know, I kind of like A, B, and D better. And have you done anything along those lines?
I know where I wanted to take her in the 12 issues and what questions I wanted to answer. And I have been asked by several people, well, can she do this or can she do that? I'm like, you're just going to have to
We don't know yet.
Would you be comfortable changing some of the stuff, like in your head? Okay, so in your head right now, I'm curious. Do you have like a list of things she can and cannot do?
Yes.
You have a yay and an nay list.
Yes.
If you had like a brilliant idea in the middle of the night, you're asleep, this vision comes to you, and one of the nays, you're like, oh, dang, I could do that. And this would be the awesome way to do it. Would you be? Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. Like something, it comes to you a way that it makes sense. It's logical. You think it'd be really cool. Would you be open to modifying your yay and nay list?
Maybe after issue 12.
Okay. Cool.
Well, if
it makes enough sense, enough sense, that would be a possibility to I mean, because she's a young woman, she's gonna be 12 in the next series. So I mean, who knows what's gonna happen?
See, I want to understand teenage, social anxiety, social pressure divinity, because that may be her villain. And I mean, I'm not saying that. But I could definitely see a mean girl villain arc out there. And if there's like a arch nemesis who kind of, brings her back into reality, meaning she wins at the end, but what cost? What did she learn from? Anyway, I like divinity excites me because of the agency that grows with her every issue. It's a very young person with powers and kind of understand, when you're really, really young.
Doesn't even understand life yet. Understand life yet. Really.
And the hierarchy of things, right? You always ask for permission, right? You're always seeking adult permission, but this is yours. So then to grow in that, and what do you decide to do with the thing, right? And how you build that. That's especially with that power set. It's like, ooh, okay, all right.
And I might open up the sandbox to other people, because I am getting a little long in the tooth, and there are things, that I need to attend to in my life that I may not be able to keep this train going for another 10 years, So we shall see.
Glenn wrote, I write bios of every character before I begin to write the story. The method creates depth and knowledge, not necessarily shown anywhere in the prose. It's best to know your characters and strengths and weaknesses before you begin. You cannot suddenly have your character being able to fly exactly or whatever to get out of the situation. Yeah.
No Mary Sue type stuff. Yeah. The character that I've mentioned that hasn't shown up much before, Ripper. His 4-issue miniseries. I know in my head, and it's been in my head for 15 plus years now, exactly the final reveal scene. I know exactly how it goes down. I know exactly where it takes place. Nobody's going to be able to get the vision. I'm not going to be able to articulate it to any artist to get it down the way that I want. But that ending, I know what that one is. Whereas Sniper and Rook was more nebulous. So it's kind of cool to be able to play on both sides. Sometimes when it catches you, you got to stick with it. Others, let it take you for the journey.
Do you find that when you're writing, it says know the end, do you find that you have a very, very strong concept of the beginning and a very, very strong concept of the end, but you have a mushy middle?
Always.
Yeah, I would say the middle is always the thing, right?
That's always as dynamic in the middle as you do the rest of it.
It's the problem solving that goes in that, right? And that's where,
it's the journey.
Yeah,
it's the journey. You're trying to find the journey to
and depending on the genre,
that destination you created. But the thing is, if you're most writers that I know are the really good ones. They let the characters speak to them. So sometimes that journey goes off the rails. You're not even you're not no longer headed for the destination you thought you were anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The characters have taken you an entirely different route, and you know what? Listen to that, because that's your characters are telling you. And if you've invested your subconscious in these characters, you know these characters really well. Let them tell you where the story's going to go, and go there. Don't force a plot on them that they're going to fight, because you're going to end up with crap. Let them tell you where you're going to go. Now,
Rob and I don't agree on a lot, and we know that,
them.
but I am 100% on board with him on this one.
Yeah, I've done a little writing of my own. I'm nowhere near the level of anybody else in this Hollywood squares we got going on here. But I've done a little bit of writing, and I don't know my characters all that. The characters that the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
He's in my Route 66 book. All I know is his father's dead, and his father's given him an automobile that could travel through time and space, and that's all I know about them. They took a trip on Route 66 when he was a kid. That's it. That's all I know about this guy. And I was gonna, as I write this book, and I haven't written anything on it in quite a while, I was gonna let the story tell me more about him as it comes to me, as things happen to him. Then I think he would build. But I've had other writers tell me, you don't know anything about this guy. No, I don't. I was going to let it build. So
and to that point, let the character drive your story. Don't let, especially today, do not let other people drive your story. If you make changes to your story, that has to be
please
something,
the fans.
Right. That has to be something you decided to do, in of yourself, or maybe, you didn't quite know the character like you did, and now that you're so wrapped up in that character, they wouldn't do that, right? So you change it based on
you
that
have to
character.
change it. Yeah,
Don't
you get to know them better.
Yeah, don't change it just because Johnny doesn't think flying is cool. Like, okay, well, that's great, Johnny. Don't read that. Right? Because Tim and Betty, they might want to read that. And that's a story I believe in. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. Glenn said, yes, you have to know where you're going at the outset. If you have a different idea halfway through and change direction, you are now writing a different story. And you have to
True.
That.
That's true. Absolutely. But that's, the story, you may not realize that the characters are on a different story. They want a different story. So that's why they're telling you to go this way instead of that way.
Yeah, this is the difference between story and plot. Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we have time for one more. My still many questions or points to
rules.
make.
Rules for comic book storytelling.
Yep. Panels control pace.
Mm-hmm.
Panels are the unit of time measurement in comics. Use that to your advantage.
Yeah, they can.
Kaz?
Yeah, they can. Absolutely. Right. Especially.
From the writer. The writer is the one who is writing how these panels, page 1, panel 1, this is what happens. Panel 2, this is what happens. So the writer is actually the one who is controlling the pace through the panels.
Yep. The pace, and again, the writer is balancing what words are written on the page versus what area there is for art. So, and that's a hard thing, right?
Thank you.
You think to yourself, you want to tell this great story, right? Especially if you have maybe an action sequence where somebody is doing a lot of, high dexterity things, and you want to convey that, maybe that's part of the power set. I don't know. You use, very quick, many number of panels to do that. Potentially, you don't have to, but potentially that's what you would do. So you would set the pace. This is all happening in a moment, but it's 9 panels. Or, maybe you don't have that many things that are happening in fast succession, and you just want to show, okay, here's the environment. Now we're drifting into something else. So you kind of do control the pace with panels. You can. Let me not say you do. I think you can control the pace with panels. I think you can also botch that, not consider that at all. But this is, panels set the pace. Yep.
Yeah.
And the artist
You know,
sets the
the
panel.
more panels on a page, the quicker
Yep.
whatever's happening is going to happen.
Yep.
So if you're, and again, using
John's
your
got a face.
example,
Oh, yeah.
something starts out with a nice pastoral
Mm-hmm.
scene setter at the top, and then you start building the
Mm-hmm.
speed, and the panels start getting smaller because we're going faster. And unfortunately, when you get in those smaller panels, you have to remember there's not much room for words
Right. Yeah.
or art.
Yeah.
So give your artist some room to do
The smaller
something.
the panel, the fewer the words.
Please.
And make it
Please.
intentional. If you do that many small panels, whatever is in there has to be worth being differentiated and seen. And that's, again, these are hard things to know. These are things that I
No
don't
words at
know.
all.
Yeah. Yeah.
That tells the whole story right there.
Yeah. This is why Stan Lee sets his artists free.
Well, because he
everyone
didn't have time. He didn't have time to write scene by scene stuff. Plus,
John?
I think his writers were better. His artists were better storytellers than he was. But
Yeah.
that's
What are your
in
thoughts on
my humble
So-
opinion.
I think that was it Glenn? I don't agree with what Glenn said necessarily. Depends
Can you bring it
on
back up again.
Which
depends
one?
on how you write and how you work with your collaborators. Artists don't determine panels necessarily.
Okay.
So here, for example, so we put out Sniper and Rook Area 50. Wah! This is page 5. Okay, and I just pulled up. I wish I had one that was easily and quickly available that I can show you. And I'm trying to see if I could find one real quick. That's on the page, okay? So you're seeing there, I'm giving to the collaborators I'm working with exactly page by page, panel by panel, how I want it later, what I want in there. And I'm trying to see if, okay, so Silverstorm Christmas Story. This is, okay, I didn't do that for here. But usually what I'll even do for most of the stories, I will give a follow-up page where I show the layout. I want this horizontal across this page. I want this one, these 3 across there. So it's the writer or the artist, depending on how you work. Remember his brief to Kirby when talking about FF, have them meet God, Kirby bag. So, yep. So that was how they worked on that one together. I don't. And
now the dialogue that Lee put over Kirby was better than I think what Kirby could do. Kirby was, yeah. But,
the better your relationship with your artist too, the less words have to be said, right?
Yeah.
If you guys are in sync, then the descriptions get nailed back. But if you're, just getting into it, or maybe you're just in a new team, you want to make sure you're putting as much that is necessary to get those panels in the idea that you kind of have, but giving them the freedom to kind of envelop.
And I'm not going to say Stanley didn't care.
No one's saying that.
If he was writing 4 or 5 books, he's not going to have time to put in detailed page, panel, everything. So I think a lot of those stories were kind of on a whim. Like, here you go, this stuff happened, you figure it out. Whereas I'm looking at it as this is my not drawn artwork, but this is a piece of art I am creating in collaboration with somebody else. So I want it to be as true to my mental vision, because I'm very visual, as humanly possible. Hence all the detailed descriptions of how I want the finished product to look.
I think all they were worried about was getting out product every month.
And the other thing is, still publishing.
That's just getting it out there.
Who pays people? Me. Comes out of my pocket. So I'm going to want to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence to give the artists everything they need to get me the output that I want, for the story I'm telling. So If it doesn't come from me to begin with, then the for success drops quite a bit.
Glenn states again, Lee's dialogue was better, yes, but the words are just scenery. Look at Chaplin, no words, but you know what's going on. That's how comics work as a visual medium. In fact, I tell artists who are first starting out that think of it as a silent film. You need to at least give the reader a good idea about what's going on, and then the words can take you deeper into what's actually happening. But you should be able to tell what's happening just looking at the page. You know, okay, and then go back and read the details. But that's the way I look at a comic book page.
I throw
like
in silent
film.
panels all the time.
Give the artist room to express what you're trying to get across.
I mean, have this character giving the other one a stink eye. You don't need any words.
Oh my god.
All right.
And it's we got to the end of our hour already, didn't we?
We got to the end of an hour, and I did not get to the end of all of my points.
That's a good discussion, though. This is good.
Well, it always is, and I think this is the kind of stuff I really like for us to do, because it's helping those folks out there who are interested in maybe becoming a comic book creator. It gives them some information on what they need to work on and what. And
it's also good for them to see there's different approaches.
Yeah.
You know what, Glenn? I think that is absolutely dead on. I love that.
As an artist, John and I would disagree. Pull that back up again, because we need to read it for the listeners. As an artist, John and I would disagree, but we would create magic from that fire.
You know, and let me say something before we go then, because, you know, Glenn is so right. So, like, I put down the page panels, the layouts, and then when my artists get it, they'll often bounce ideas back. They're like, you know, name that too. And you're like, you have 5 panels here. I could do it in 4. I'm like, well, sketch it out. Show me. And then they do. And I'm like, that's badass. Let's go with it. So the collaborative part comes in there. I'm not just like,
you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible.
But so, you know, here's my vision. I'm giving you everything. Part in. Show me what you're thinking. And that, Glenn, is where the magic would come in. Maybe we should do something together, bro. Reach out.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Please go to the Silverline Kickstarter and the Divinity one is blank on the Kickstarter, but it will come with that kick-ass cover that I showed earlier.
That was so cool.
Yeah, it is. I know. I didn't have anything to do with it, so I can't take any credit for it.
Well, you created the character.
That's true.
Yeah,
Kevin and I discussed
them to do that work.
Kevin and I discussed what it should portray, and we came up with something, and then he created the magic. So I will give him all the props. But anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. And as we like to say at the end of every stream,
make mine Silverline. Bye, everybody.
Hi, I'm Chris Ulm. I'm the former editor-in-chief of Malibu Comics. Make mine Silverline.